Welcome to this episode of TAC Tick Talk. I'm Dr. Joe Bush, editor of the American Chiropractor with Jacqueline Toussard, publisher, and today we are joined with Douglas Grant, Formulator, founder of Optimal Health Systems. Welcome to the show, Douglas.
Hey,
We're
great.
honored to have you.
Well, thanks.
Um,
It's great to be here.
we've known about you for years. I mean, you have such a deep kind of history across not only healthcare, but with performance and other types of treatment interventions using nutrition. So, can you just explain to the audience a little bit about your background? How does one become a formulator founder of a company like Optimal Health Systems?
Well, those are the titles for our company, but my background's in clinical nutrition, exercise physiology, and the backstory, the simple version is that I realized from an accident that there was a need for holistic health, meaning someone that would treat the body naturally, but every aspect of the body, not just the mindset, not just the spine, not just the muscle, not just the nutrition and supplements, but all of them combined. And I saw there was a big gap in the industry. And at the time, I was a nutritionist for the NBA, Phoenix Suns, Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs, and I really worked to make sure that we could be more holistic in that setting by getting the first chiropractor ever to be hired on by the NBA. And then now, every team has one. And to be able
Mhm,
to try to get them to be holistic. But then over the last 20 years, really focusing on individual clinicians, chiropractors, and other holistic professionals to help them be holistic, helping them with the testing, with the whole food supplementation, the nutrition, all aspects that they might not be an expert in so that they could truly help the whole patient.
mhm,
That sounds awesome. Now, so over the last, say, 20 to 30 years, clinical nutrition has kind of evolved, and now everyone wants to act like they have this really, this profound experience, probably borrowing from most of your experience, So, um, can you take us through just what you've seen, how you've seen it change over the course of the last 30 years, and what you see the future of this type of intervention system with patients evolving?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sure. It's really been interesting because it has evolved dramatically in 30 years, but even in the last, 9 months, we've had this, this huge evolution that things that we've been wanting to happen in, the last few decades have happened just all in a short period of time. But when I first got started in the holistic nutrition, meaning really working with whole foods at the cell level, proving that they can increase performance, that you can improve healing time. It was one of these things that most of the medical allopathic industry didn't even believe would work. They're like, nutrition really doesn't do that much. It really isn't effective at performance. It's not really effective at recovery, and they didn't even accept that as a possibility. But that's where a lot of the industry, and they still are that way, they guess a lot, right? Like, I think you need to take this up. I think you should follow this nutrition plan. I heard it was good with somebody else or it helped them recover. And
Mm-hmm.
we were never a part of that. We really wanted to take the guessing out and start testing, and that's really what changed the industry for us. Is we started testing. We're saying, look, if a person follows a whole food diet, gets rid of the processed foods, will they recover faster from a type 2 ankle injury or whatever it might be? And we are able to prove that it did. And then we were able through testing to prove that if we add in proteolytic enzymes instead of ibuprofen and Tylenol, instead of NSAIDs, if we did natural NSAIDs, we'd be able to improve recovery even faster. And so the answer really came from testing, and that takes a while. So from the late 80s, early 90s, all the way through, we started testing, we started proving. And you're right, a lot of that research that we did in professional sports really rolled over into chiropractic and naturopathy, to where clinics were starting to utilize those protocols, and to this day utilizing those protocols now with even conditions, right? With IBS and with diabetes and with heart disease, we know that nutrition is the main factor. So it's really evolved. One of the things that I think still needs to evolve, and that's one of the things we teach the doctors at our seminars and through our system, is that with each condition, there's very specific foods, very specific nutrients and herbs that can help the body heal and speed up recovery dramatically. And still to this day, a lot of clinics don't realize that, if they use beets and arugula, that it helps with blood pressure and increases blood flow, just those simple things, adding them to the diet or things like that. And so we're really big on helping clinics um, apply what we've learned over the last 20 years because it has evolved, and still to this day we're like, oh my gosh, we didn't realize that this one little change in nutrition or this one little nutrient can really make a big difference, but it does. And it's our job to kind of stay up with the latest and pass it on to the chiropractors and the clinicians so they can implement them quickly.
Well, and Doug, I
Well,
wanted to jump in, Dr. Joe, to add here too, because one of the reasons that we're always talking with and following Doug, your work, is because we always like to feature doctors who are walking the talk. And when you talk about, I mean, your experience, it's not everybody who gets access to NBA players. So when you get that kind of level of access, then it tells me that you've learned something that not many people have. And when I even have looked and watched your career over the years, I mean, you and your wife are amazing examples of what it is to live an optimally healthy lifestyle with the muscle building. And, some people are just looking just to keep off of the sofa and to keep their weight in check. But you guys take it to a whole nother level, which is to me part of the reason I wanted to make sure that we're following your journey and seeing what it is that you've learned. And I do think that that helps you put into practice a lot more because we work with a lot of I don't want to say that, doctors who are following the literature, but you're taking that literature and you're putting into practice. And so that's what I wanted to point out is that it's coming from the horse's mouth, somebody who's not just reading it and regurgitating, you're testing it and then you're putting it forward. So that's what I wanted to
well,
point out what we really appreciate about featuring you
Well,
guys.
no, and I appreciate you saying that because, as you guys know, and you live it, and I've watched you guys over the last few decades really apply that in your life for your own health. Is That's really a big shift that I think health professionals need to understand is happening, and it's a good shift. And it
Mhm.
is that these chiropractors and other health professionals need to walk the talk. And it doesn't mean they need to be in great physical shape at the moment, like, ripped and all this stuff. It doesn't mean that. It means they need to be better today than they were yesterday. And so when the patient looks at them and says, "Hey, if I do what you say, will I get what you got?" Then
Mhm.
the health professional can say, "Absolutely. You know what? I still have, 20 pounds, 50 pounds to lose on this journey, or I'm still working to improve that. But yeah, I'm actually better today than I was yesterday." One of the great chiropractors with us that was at our last seminar, I think she still weighs close to 300 pounds, but she was almost 400 pounds. And she's a great example of walking the talk. And yet people will look and say, "It looks like you have a ways to go," or whatever they would say to her. She said some people were kind of mean about, "Why should I listen to you?" and that. But now she can say, "You should absolutely listen to me because even though I have a ways to go, this is where I've come from. And the things that I've done to get here and make this progress on the daily are the things that I'm teaching you, and you can get the same results. You can get progress." And so that's really what it's about, is are we progressing with our health as a health professional personally so that
Mhm.
we can truly say that to the patient, if you do what I say,
Mhm.
you'll get what I got.
Mhm.
that's fantastic. Doug, you mentioned that within the last 9 months, things had been evolving that really just emphasized all of this work that you've done over the last 30 years. Can you talk a bit about that? What are you finding in the modern execution of
Yeah,
this technique?
it's absolutely crazy. I mean, I think we all know there was a big shift, right, with the leadership of the country, and whether you like or dislike any of that, that really isn't our thing. Our thing is there's a big change that's happened on the health side. And truly, we're at a golden window right now, especially for chiropractors and any holistic health professional. And really, everyone needs to wake up and realize this is truly legislation that I pushed for in 1992.
Mhm.
When we realized that the dyes were bad for us, we were pushing, to try to have regulation for glyphosate, titanium dioxide. In my very first book, we were pushing this and people laughed at us. And it was like, I didn't get anywhere. And I went to Washington, D.C. I was trying to push it with lobbyists, and I just fell on deaf ears. And over the years, we've got them to listen a little bit, but no change. But in the last 9 months, we now have legislation in place where they're having to get rid of these dyes. They're having to get rid of the titanium dioxide. They're having to get rid of a lot of these things in the foods. And there's a shift that's happening. And the
Mhm.
shift is going to come to the American consumer and all of the population saying, you know what? We need to know more about this. We need to be aligned with a health professional that knows what's going on and why this stuff is bad and what I can do about it. And so, for the health professionals right now that are holistic, they really need to stand up and say, hey, we're the ones that have been teaching this for decades. We're excited about the change, but it just goes to show that you should be a patient of mine. You should be in my world and get
Mhm.
up and start speaking and be real vocal about it, because people are looking to the health professionals that are like, wait, I need to be with someone that understands why these changes are happening and how I actually apply it. Most people
Mhm.
don't know. Like, how do I get rid of the plastics in my diet? How do I know the difference between an ultra processed food and a processed food? Are there herbs and nutrients that I can take that would help me get off the prescriptions or maybe not have to take the prescription? Those are things that holistic health professionals, chiropractors specifically, really need to learn at a deeper level more than ever before. Not by just a few supplements they sell or they've kind of done different things over the years, but really get involved. And the ones that do are the ones that are going to soar.
We'll talk
Mhm.
about that, Doug. How does one learn that? Like, I know you can, we've all got the books, we all have there's a protocol that people, but, you kind of, just like you say, okay, well, I'm going to try some milk thistle or whatever. We're going to drink some more water for a month and
Yeah.
see how we're doing. Maybe do it, so how does a person really incorporate that into the clinic rather than just winging it?
That's a great question. And really, it comes down to really the secret about how do you build your clinic, your practice, or anything in life, right? Your health, your performance in sport, whatever it is you want to do, your family. It comes down to looking at proven models and then implementing those models in your own life. And so, when it comes to a clinic, you want to see the clinics that have had the most success of truly being holistic, implementing testing instead of guessing, being able to still have the time to do the adjustments and work on the things that you went to school for, but being able to incorporate the nutrition, the supplementation, the testing, all of those things. And so the answer is a system, and that's kind of why we named our company Optimal Health Systems, is because it's about providing systems to chiropractors and other holistic professionals so they can implement them quickly into the clinic, and it doesn't take time away from what they do best. And that's one of the biggest things that I've found in the last 2 decades is doctors saying, hey, I went to school to understand subluxations, to be able to help people and get the spine subluxation free and nerve flow. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time teaching nutrition or finding out which supplement to recommend and all of this stuff and blood work and everything. I just don't want to take away from, really what got me passionate in the first place. And so what we've done is said, we agree, but you also need to understand you need to be holistic, right? The nutrition supports the spine and the nerve flow and everything else. And you've got to apply that. So we come in with the model, the system, and say, here's how you implement it in a chiropractic clinics so that you can get patients better faster. And, one thing that's not talked about enough is to ensure that the health professional can truly be set up financially, that they're making the finances that are needed in the moment, but also long term. And as we get a little bit older, I'm older than you guys and that, but you've been in the business a while. We've seen phenomenal health professionals. I mean, beautifully gifted chiropractors that as they've got older, they haven't been able to practice as much, or they're even wanting to spend a little more time with grandkids or family,
Mhm.
and they're not able to because they don't have the financial income coming in from the patients they've already treated, and they didn't want to get involved with multi-level or any of that. They wanted to keep that ethical standard, but they haven't set themselves up to benefit financially from their patients. They got better, and that's where optimal health systems comes in, is we want to be able to help the doctors set up their clinic so that once a patient leaves their clinic, they did their job, right? The patient's better and
Mhm.
they're out and they only come in once in a while for that adjustment. but they're financially still benefiting from the nutrition protocols, the supplement protocols that the patient's following, so that they can have that additional 10, 20, $30,000 a month income coming in, so that they can have the freedom to enjoy life. Or what I tell them is, have the freedom, come join us with the fight, right? To come join us in the and to fight against the great American food fraud, and help us with this legislation and
Well, now that you mentioned that, tell us about your documentary. That's a good segue,
that.
right?
I get a little cycle in that. Yeah, so we when this started, I went back and said, gosh, my first book in 1990 was like called Energy. And we talked about, when I went to school at Arizona State University for nutrition, how they would say that a calorie is a calorie is a calorie. And they were teaching these things. I'm like, this is not true. Come to find out that they were being funded by Sara Lee, Mars, right? The American Dietetic Association and all of that. And it was this big scam. And it
Mhm,
was like, okay, we need to blow the whistle on it. And although we did, no one really, again, listened. And finally, people are starting to listen. And what's happened is there's this great American food fraud. And that's the name of the documentary, is that the tobacco company saw the writing on the wall, and that people were understanding that, tobacco causes cancer. And so they started shifting and buying all the food companies, and they implemented those same processes, techniques, marketing techniques, from Marlboro Man to now the Kool-Aid Man. And, they did all the same things, but with food. And they really created this fraud on America. And that's how come we got in
mhm,
this position of being one of the sickest nations on the planet, but yet we have, supposedly the greatest healthcare and
mhm,
technology. And so the documentary exposes that, goes through that history. But for the purpose, I think, of your group
mhm,
and, with American Chiropractor, is that there was really three frauds. One's on the food, and people are
mhm,
waking up to that with Dr. Means, our new Surgeon General. My gosh, greatest thing that's ever happened. With RFK and all of that, they're starting to understand there was a food fraud, right? But
mhm,
the other part of that was, there was a fraud on vitamins, because the pharmaceutical companies bought
mhm,
vitamin companies. And to this day, there's very few of us left. I can count on one hand companies that I personally know that are family owned.
mhm,
And I can give you a list of 200 companies that are owned completely or partially by pharmaceutical companies. And they started taking the vitamins and making them synthetically. They're just synthetic chemicals
mhm,
instead of whole foods, from nature's foods.
mhm,
And that's the second fraud, was the belief that if you're buying vitamins from any company, that they're all natural, when they're not. They're owned by pharmaceutical companies for the most part.
mhm,
And then the third fraud in the documentary is one against health professionals, truly holistic health professionals, chiropractors, naturopaths. This fraud that's happened, where they put all the chiropractors in a box and just said, look, all we want you to do is just to adjust and work just a little bit on the spine, stay in your group. You're only going to deal with people within a few blocks of your clinic. And they put them in this box to not truly be holistic, general practitioners, and be the doctor that patients go to for anything with their health, to get the advice of what to do. And a lot of chiropractors to this day have stayed in that box. And that's one of the greatest frauds that's out there. And our mission with the documentary and with our company is to open that, to say, no, you actually are the true health professional for people's lives. They should come to you. And then if you need to refer to a different health professional, a medical doctor, a surgeon, or whatever, then you can refer to them. But you should be the one that really is the general practitioner for people around the nation, for everyone, because
mhm,
lifestyle is the key. Lifestyle is what causes disease, and it's what fixes disease. So you should be the one that should be the foundation for a patient's health, not this little
mhm,
auxiliary thing on the side that's just there for when they need an adjustment.
mhm. Wow.
I'd say it goes a step further. I mean, they're trying to usurp the very idea of it by doing things they call functional medicine and whatnot. The
Mhm,
Mayo Clinic's now doing it, and they've got their own little protocols, and they're all like, really, if you've been around for the last 30 years in chiropractic, you see how that all is kind of spilling over. And now they're like,
they're
oh, well,
hijacking our
but we're
terms,
the
right?
experts. Yeah, we're the experts in it. No, no. I mean, we've been saying this for years, and
Don't
it's
they
just
have
like when you were
substitutes
saying,
in
Yeah, like the influence of nutrition on healing, now they ignored it until now everyone's like, oh yes, it's absolutely like you got to do the Brady protocol of diet or whatever. I don't know, but
Well, it's absolutely, and that's a big problem. Is a lot of the clients, me and my wife Hillary, do concierge coaching, which I think every chiropractor on the planet should be doing, by the way. And a lot of our clients are, own these companies, and they're, in the hundreds of millions or billionaires and things. And they're like, a lot of them come in and say, "Oh yeah, I went to the Mayo Clinic and did my blood work," and then they're telling me the nutrition and the protocols, and I look at it, and you're right, it's an absolute joke. They're just trying to get in, right? They want a part of everything. But the reason that these people were going to the Mayo Clinic and that is most of them have chiropractors is
Mhm.
because the chiropractor wasn't being holistic. The chiropractor
mhm,
wasn't giving them that option. And that's
Mhm.
one of the things we teach is every chiropractor, in my opinion, should be recommending blood work and teaching their patient how to read the blood work nutritionally. And we have a course, whether they come to seminars or just even, you don't even have to come just through the reps. We have a system that teaches you that. We basically do it all for you. You just make the prescription, which you can do in any state as a chiropractor. You do the prescription to the patient, they get blood work done. And our system actually creates a custom pack, the right nutrients to take. It has the nutrition protocols, and all the doctor does is kind of regurgitate that, to use your words, Jacqueline, back to the patient so that they can offer it. One of the reasons that people are going to the wrong source for their nutrition, for their blood work, for their supplements, and all that is because the chiropractors aren't stepping up and doing it enough. And one of our
Mhm.
systems is that is, hey,
Mhm.
here's a complete system that you can use to help
Mhm.
patients do the blood work, do the nutrition, do the custom supplements, and
Right.
all that without you having to learn a lot. Just follow the system.
Well, Doug, and that's why I wanted to make sure we do this interview with you because, I mean, shoot, even the chiropractors who are coming who are younger, I'm hearing from the older chiropractors that I work with saying, Jackie, they're not even teaching the same thing in the schools now because it's kind of getting broken up too. So then the younger doctors are facing their own health issues within themselves and their families, and they don't have the resources necessarily. So part of me has been, we have a moral imperative to make sure to get the patients to the right doctor. And during COVID, I was like, if we just can funnel them all to the right chiropractor, we don't have to worry about it. So now the thing is, so we got to make sure that all of the chiropractors are knowledgeable on multifaceted areas, because if you're not addressing the nutrition and you know what I mean? I mean, they're just breaking people down with all of these different areas from, a bombardment of uh, toxins in multiple areas, not just, the emotional, but also the physical.
Absolutely. And I think that, the key to that again is for health professionals to not get intimidated. And that happens a lot, as you mentioned, with chiropractors, older ones, or even the brand new ones coming in, seem to be the two groups that are most intimidated. They don't like that word, but, they stay away from really getting in depth with the nutrition and the supplementation
Mhm.
and blood work and all of that, and they have their excuses, but they're all excuses. If you're a holistic health professional, then you need to work on the mindset, the nutrition, the exercise, and the supplementation along with the spine, and
Mhm.
or else you're not being a holistic health professional, right? You
Right. Well,
actually not,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, that was it. I was gonna say, because it's structural. Obviously, the chiropractors that's their number one. But when we know that the foundation is, of course, also in the toxins and the emotional and this, the structural is one of the elements, the chemical and nutrition, that's where you guys come in and balance that out. And so that's what I wanted to make sure. And I would never say intimidated because
no,
I
it's
work.
it's intimidation. I agree with Doug. They're intimidated because, and it's just because they are beaten down. Like you get out of you get out of the college, you're not even allowed to, and they're not recommending X-rays in many cases or any tests that add a dollar value to it. They're like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be doing this, and like
Mhm.
it's hard to help supply the highest quality care while having that mindset.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why really it comes down to we have three levels, and it's called commit, serve, scale. Health professionals need to be, as you just mentioned, they need to commit. They need to commit to, like, look, I got into this field because I wanted to be holistic. I wanted to help a patient truly heal naturally. Well, if that's the case, you better be doing the testing. right? You better be doing everything you need to find out where the subluxations are, what the problem is. You better
Mm-hmm.
find out at the cell level what's going on with the vibration, the nutrient levels at the cell. So you better be doing something like blood work and that. And you commit to it. You commit. And we help doctors with that, with committing to being
Mm-hmm.
holistic. Then the second part, serve. And the third part is the models that we were talking about, where um, just implementing a model that you can easily start teaching nutrition to the patient, doing the blood work
Mm-hmm.
without learning anything. You just follow our system, the supplements, where you can customize the supplements so that a patient can stay on them forever. That's the key,
Mm-hmm.
is when a patient
Mm-hmm.
gets a pack of nutrients with their name on it and everything's in it, they'll stick with that for the rest of their life versus individual bottles and things like that. That a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times they'll, go to Costco and, oh, I can buy it cheaper,
Right.
even though they don't, it's synthetic. And so commit, we help you commit to understand the holistic, serve
Mm-hmm.
the systems, what systems you need to implement. Whatever it is, we'll help you implement the system. And we have a model for you. We have clinics, thousands of them around the nation, that have implemented the different parts of the puzzle. They need nutrition, they need supplement, they need
Mm-hmm.
testing. And then the last part is scale. And the
Mm-hmm.
scale is the key, because right now, with the change that's going on and all the great stuff that's happening in the nation, health professionals need to realize that it's not just their mile radius of people they can treat. They can treat people all around the world, and they need to have that mindset. And we help them scale their clinic to help treat patients all over the nation, and to be
Mm-hmm.
able to help them and help them for life, so that they can keep receiving that residual income, that gives them that freedom.
Well, that's amazing. And I wanted to mention too, because I think this does need to be stated, is that, the moral imperative I mentioned to even chiropractors is that if you're not providing a more natural, holistic, nutritional supplementation program, I can guarantee they're going to go to Costco or they're going to go to the drugstore. They're going to buy something. I mean, we get analysis of paralysis over 30 years here at the magazine. And I mean, it'll scare you if you knew what taking the wrong supplements over multiple years can do, let alone decades. So I want to make sure that we're empowering chiropractors and connecting them with with nutrition experts like you who've already found solutions, so that, you know, I can't even tell you, just even the wrong calcium. We all know
Oh,
those dangers. You
100%.
know,
I think that if you just take two quick examples, one is the wrong calcium. Most people, companies sell the calcium that's from rock, right? Hydroxyapatite or some of these things. And it actually helps to calcify the body and in the blood. One of the biggest problems is the calcium score that you do to risk for heart disease. And it comes for not using the calcium that nature made, where it's organic, bound to amino acids. And then from
mhm,
the vitamin side, vitamin C. Everyone knows about vitamin C and how important it is. You don't have to teach your patient they need vitamin C, right? It's
right.
pretty
Right.
obvious and known,
Yeah.
but they don't know that most vitamin C comes from combining ascorbic acid with hydrochloric acid, and it's synthetic, and actually over time can cause
Right.
arterial issues, meaning buildup, versus getting
Hmm.
the whole C from oranges and acerola
Hmm.
cherry and that. Which, once you say that to a patient, they're like, oh yeah, of course that makes sense, I should be getting it from foods. But they look at their label and says vitamin C from ascorbic
Hmm.
acid. It doesn't say from acerola cherry or oranges. And that little shift makes a huge benefit to the patient, but also to the clinic, because now the patient understands you're the expert when it comes to
Hmm.
supplementation. I have so many people that over the decades have said, I don't even look at labels anymore. All I do is call you or text you, and we just, why should we worry about it? And that's really
Right.
what you want the patient to do. And I think it's one of the great things that
Hmm.
your magazine does, is it helps the doctors to even become more of an expert. I
Hmm.
want our patients to just call and say, look, we heard about this nutrition protocol,
Hmm.
or the carnivore diet. We heard about this supplement
Hmm.
right now, berberine. Is it truly as effective as GLP-1? The importance of probiotics. We heard about this exercise protocol. Should we do it? You
Hmm.
want the patient to have you be the expert. And
Hmm.
if you're sitting there going, well, I'm not the expert in exercise physiology or nutrition, I don't know about, what diet and all that. Well, when you get connected with optimal health systems, it's like, Napoleon Hill said from Think and Grow Rich, you have a new mastermind team. It is you. So all you have to
Right.
do is real quick text our office and say, hey,
Mhm.
is this diet good for, is the keto diet good for cancer and all that? And we answer you, and then
Mm-hmm.
you go back to the patient. So you're still the expert. You just use us as the resource so that you can be a world's
Mm-hmm.
leading authority in all those
Mm-hmm.
other areas besides the spine and subluxation removal.
Well, and I wanted really quick before we change the subject, because I just have to draw in, because over the years I've spoken with clinicians and they would tell me about nutrition. They'd say, Jackie, the hardest patients I have to deal with are usually the ones who've been on synthetic vitamins for a long time. So this is something that people, I mean, doctors probably are not all aware of this, but nutrition experts, clinicians are going to know, because they end up working almost, like drugs, like keys in, and this goes to even the mental health crisis, in the food, all this stuff that doesn't seem like a big deal. But when we now have this craze about people with mental health issues, I mean, you go to and look at all of these different ways that they're being inundated. So that's what we want to make sure with your guidance and with, of course, our expert and nutrition experts in the chiropractic industry, we're really motivated to make sure to empower chiropractors and their patients to help them have
Absolutely.
a chance at a better life.
Well, and I appreciate bringing that up. And kind of like to Dr. Bush's point too, is that one of the biggest things is for chiropractors is like, who do we trust? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge issue. It really is. And my recommendations is very simple on that. It's like, look, if you're realize the importance of like micronutrients, that your patient does need vitamins and minerals, all right, then
Mm-hmm.
you're like, well, who do I go to? They all say use us. You have all these different companies out there. My first
Mm-hmm.
recommendation is one, do you know who the formulator is? So doctors, you need to be asking the question, who is a formulator? Give me that person's name, he or she, and are they accessible?
Mm-hmm.
If the company that you're looking to purchase products from, if you don't know who the formulator is and they won't tell you, then you're pretty much guaranteed it's a pharmaceutically owned company and they don't want you to even know the chemists and the people that are behind the scenes doing that because they're not organic, right? They're just
Right.
synthetically chemical processed formulators.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one, make sure the company, ask them, are they family owned? Two, and a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
they'll not necessarily tell the truth about it. So the second question is, who's the formulator? What's their name? Do we have access to them? And the third factor with that is, can they guarantee that the products are whole food based? Can they give us the certificates of analysis? Can they provide that? If you can answer those things, then, and in the affirmative, then that's a company you want to use. And Optimal
Mm-hmm.
Health Systems, we're not the only one out there, but we're probably one of 4 or 5 that are left that haven't been bought out by the pharmaceutical companies, where you can talk to the formulators, myself, Dr. Brimhall, Dr. Harris,
Mm-hmm.
and know that we're just a family owned company that's committed to a true holistic health. And I think the chiropractors out now, a lot of them, the reason they're intimidated, like you're saying, Dr. Bush, is because they're getting inundated with all this information and they don't know who to trust. And it will take a little research, but
Mm-hmm.
dang, a little bit of research and then you're set for life, because now you have the people around you that are going to benefit you the most. It's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding. No, this sounds like a sure thing if you're considering, incorporating nutrition in the way that you're doing it. It really sounds like it's a movement that you're putting together. I mean, do you have a lot of patient-facing information for the chiropractors to use to help educate their patient population? You mentioned
Absolutely.
the,
It's,
the
it's a huge part of it is when the health professionals, the chiropractors come on, they have access to a complete, array, like it's a huge database of information where you say, look, my patient has diabetes or they have autoimmune disorder of any type and different things. What should we do? Well, like, here, go here and print this out. You have a dashboard and you print out, okay, a patient with celiac disease, a patient with dementia, or whatever it might
Mhm,
be. Here's the things to print out to give them that talks about their condition from a holistic standpoint, the need
Mm-hmm.
for adjustments, the need for different nutrition, the need for certain supplements, and it gives that to them. But you're the expert, it's coming from you, right? And it's just utilizing our database, and we make sure you can implement it simply. And so
Mm-hmm.
chiropractors don't have to come to our seminars to get that information. They sign up for free, and then our reps will take them through the commitment phase, help them commit to that higher level of health,
Mm-hmm.
for their patient, holistic health, help them serve their patient more with the simple systems, and then helps them scale. And they take them all the way through that. So as a chiropractor, you're like, hey, I want my patients to heal faster. I want proof of it. And I also
Mhm.
want to build this, residual income so that I'm not stuck to that clinic on the daily basis. I want that extra 15, 20 grand a month. What do I need to do to get there? But by doing it ethically, right? By just through the recommendations of the patient, and they continue with those recommendations. So that
Mhm.
that is possible. But I do recommend for health professionals to come to seminars because, man, you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to be there. It's like you
Well,
need to
what's
get out.
happening at the seminars, Doug? What's happening at the seminars? You mentioned that a couple of times that you do seminars. How many do you do across the United States? Is there something that there's a can't miss if they're really like, okay, I want to take that next step. I want to grow. I want to double this in my clinic.
Mm. Yeah, so great question. So if clinics are wanting to, 10x their clinic and really get going, we have different seminars around the nation. One of the most important is called the Formula and Marketing Seminar, and it's like 4 days of hardcore, hands-on. The Formula and Marketing Seminars where we come in and we teach it. And we have the health professionals that have done it. They come in and teach, and it really is kind of a closed door. You come in and get down and dirty and make it happen, right? But we do have one seminar a year that is what we call our super seminar. And with this seminar, this year, it's in September in Las Vegas at the Rio. And the super seminar is different. And I highly recommend doctors come to it because it's a giant expo. But more importantly, it's our mentors. In other words, who are the thought leaders like Dr. Ben Hardy that wrote 10X is easier than 2X, Gap in the Gain, all that. Um, you know, uh, People in that field that have mentored us in clinical nutrition, in supplementation, in scaling the business. We bring those people to that seminar and they teach at that seminar. We actually even open it up to your patients for a
Mhm.
part of it. So we're bringing in these phenomenal thought leaders, people that have had tremendous results, that are athletes, 3-time gold
Mhm.
medal winner LaShawn Merritt. A lot of different people will be teaching at that seminar. I spend a lot of time going over the latest systems with doctors. Okay, hey, with this condition, here's the latest things we've heard and how to implement it with the patient. And it's
Mhm.
4 days of just super fun in September. And this year, we're calling it the AWAKEN Seminar because we think
Mhm.
health professionals, especially chiropractors, need to awaken their inner reason that they actually got involved in the first place, that mission that you talked about, and
Mhm.
reawaken that and say, look, that passion when I got started, I need to bring that back out again. And we allow
Mhm.
them to awaken that in a way to be holistic, because most of them, as you said, they've been beat down, right, by the
Yeah,
industry, and you
it's
can't do this, you
dormant.
can't do
You got to
this.
wake them up, right? It's like
Oh man, in a huge way. And then you just go to
They
optimal.
hijacked the term woke. I mean, really, this is an awakening, right?
Isn't
I
that
mean, now we
crazy?
can't even say you got to wake up, right? Because
It,
that has a totally different connotation.
uh,
It's crazy.
It's
Yeah,
crazy, yeah. And when we came up with that, that was one of the things. Oh, people might think something different. I'm like, I don't care. You need to
yeah,
awaken your inner
no.
soul and to create health freedom that's
Mhm.
natural. And you know what? We're going to speak it the way it needs to be spoke. And there are going to be talks there that are going to talk a little bit more than we ever have about the creator, right? What it is for people, whether it's God or Buddha or whatever it is. We're not going to get
Mhm.
into like what you believe, but that there is a higher power, and we need to tap into that personally as health professionals and help our patients tap into that higher power that will
Mhm.
help them to get their mindset correct to be able to heal faster.
And you've talked
Yeah.
about vibration of supplements and whatnot too, I think. So, uh,
Yeah, I think we're the only company in the world. We had the FDA come in here and they're like, "You guys do some weird stuff, but it's not against FDA rules, so we'll not say anything." And what they were talking about is that all through our process of making the whole food supplements, we have esophageal frequencies being infused into the supplements all the way through. And for the FDA, they're like, "Well, we don't care. We don't think it does any good, but it doesn't do any harm."
right.
And they don't understand that even though we're taking that whole food from vitamin from the food, so we're taking vitamin C from that cherry, it is a process, even though we're doing the whole food. And so we're always infusing back Earth's frequencies into it. We believe that there's this respect for nature that's been missing, and
Mm.
it's just a respect for the creator, for everything, and we try to keep that in everything that we do. And that's one of
Mhm.
the principles that we help teach at the super seminar.
This is amazing. Well, now, Doug, how many and optimal health systems? I know it's not just for chiropractors, but about what percentage do you think of your business is chiropractors? Because it seems like you've had a really good foothold in the chiropractic field. So I was kind of curious.
Yeah, great question. It's probably close to 80%. It's huge as far
Mhm,
as that. We have a lot of holistic medical doctors. We're having a lot of the medical community switch over, and we're getting, that's actually probably the fastest growing area. And I'm
mhm,
excited for it, but I'm actually a little upset because the chiropractors should be blowing them away. It should be exploding
mhm,
in the chiropractic community, even greater than it is. So most of our health professionals are chiropractors, although this huge contingency
mhm,
of holistic medical doctors are coming on. And I think that the key with that is for chiropractors to understand, as we started with, that they're truly the primary care physician in people's lives. They should be. But Dr.
mhm.
Bush, like you said, they get pounded down, saying, oh, you're not, stay in your lane.
Hmm.
Well, your
You
lane
know,
is
yeah. Mhm.
holistic health professional. You should be the kingpin for a patient. And then if they need the other doctors, you refer to them. And usually chiropractors will say, oh, yeah, I work in this clinic underneath and with, the medical doctor and all that. I'm like, no, you need to reverse that. You need to be the one that people come to and refer out to the others.
Mhm. Agreed.
I like that. I like that term kingpin too, Doug. I'm going to start using that. I'm, I'm your health kingpin. I like it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's amazing because, I'm not a chiropractor, but so many people will come to me and, say, hey, we're just going to come to you for every aspect. And you tell us where to go. Go to, the different health professionals. And we enjoy that as concierge health coaches. But that's really, I'm thinking the chiropractors really should be the ones doing this the most. They
Right.
should be
Mhm,
doing the concierge health coaching. And it's like pulling teeth. It's like chiropractors want, okay, just come in and I'll do my job with you versus, saying, look, I will absolutely take care of you. And we have clients that pay us a lot of money a year. They just say, look, here's this amount of money, like 40, $50,000 they'll pay. And so you just take care of us. You tell us what to eat. You
Yeah.
tell us
That's the
what supplements
concierge.
to take, when to do
Hmm.
the testing, how often should I get my adjustments? And we'll just follow what you say because we're life so busy we don't want to worry about it. We want an expert to tell us what to
mhm,
do. And it is amazing how many people want that. And there's not
mhm.
enough chiropractors or other holistic health professionals stepping up saying, okay, I'll be that for people.
Health
And
is
Hmm.
wealth.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm,
And we have the systems to help you do that overnight.
mhm.
I
Yeah.
did one last question. Do I have to have a huge inventory of your supply for my patients, or how does that work when I
Well, on
decide?
the
Okay,
supplement side, yeah, on
correct.
the supplement side, you have to have zero, because you can actually do a direct script, write a script for the supplements and they're delivered to
Hmm.
the patient and you still get that benefit. The
Hmm.
biggest clinics in the nation, the ones that are doing the most, um, I don't say business, the most good for patients, right? Are the ones that they stock their clinic with the products that their patient needs to get out of pain. All of the natural anti-inflammatories, the things when a patient comes in, you want to get that patient out of pain right now. You want them to get a win, right? So they
Hmm.
stick with you. So they stock their clinic with those. And then they also will prescribe through, it's called direct script, the app.
Mhm,
They'll prescribe to their patients, in addition to that. So the clinics that are most successful do both. They'll stock some product, but then they'll prescribe where we actually ship to them for a
Hmm.
lot of them also. And that's the concept, but it costs nothing to get started. It costs nothing to get going, to see if the patients actually heal from the whole foods. Because if our products don't work best, use someone else's, right? That's why I'm big on blood work. And that's like,
mhm,
look, blood work doesn't lie. If their cholesterol comes down, their liver enzymes improve, their inflammation markers, C-reactive protein, all that improve because they're following the right nutrition protocol, taking the right supplements, then it works. And if someone else works better, use them. Like, we want the patient to get better, but with that mentality, it just forces us to stay on our game because we know we need to make the best, most potent whole food formulas on the planet, or you'll use someone else's because we're asking you to test. We don't ask you
Hmm.
just to believe us.
Makes sense. Makes
Agree.
sense.
Mhm.
Fantastic, Jacqueline. Any final questions for?
Well, Well, I was just going to add on about the health is wealth. And when I think about the creator of Apple, God rest his soul, Steve Jobs passing away, and he had all the money in the world. So when you talk about the concierge coaches model, I mean, for chiropractors to add on and make sure that obviously they're addressing the structural, but they definitely want to help to add on if they're not already doing it for their own health and that of their family, as well as, of course, for their patients to add on the nutrition component to address the chemical overwhelm.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point. And I think that health professionals just need to step up to the plate and commit
Hmm.
and realize that they can be that expert. One of our concierge clients' favorite statement is that when you have your health, you have 10,000 wishes, meaning anything you want to do in life is great and you can go and do that. But when you don't have your health, you have one wish. You just want to get better, right? And that's so true. And I think understanding that at a deep level,
Hmm.
that it's easy to us to go to our these clients and say, look, our job's to make it so you have thousands of wishes each day.
Hmm.
It's to help keep you healthy and energetic and strong, and so that you can focus on those things, and we'll be that expert to help get you there. So all doctors have to do is call up
Right.
Optimal Health Systems and tell them they're interested, and they'll just get them started immediately, with no cost, to help them scale their clinic and build a true
Hmm.
holistic clinic to get patients better faster.
Right. Well,
Very
I'm
good.
checking to see, hoping to see if I'll be able to make it to your Vegas event. It's in September. So for the doctors who are listening, definitely look it up. What is it? The web address, or is there a phone number and dates at all? Doug, do you happen to have that info?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, optimalhealthsystems.com, or OHS, the number four, life.com, OHS for life.com. And I believe it's last week in September, the 23rd is the time frame that weekend
Mhm.
for the super seminar. It's Thursday through Sunday. But you can go to our website, scan down to the bottom under seminars, or just call the office and they'll get you set up. It's absolutely the must attend event of the year, because you're going to hear from the world leading experts, the people that have actually transformed their life through chiropractic, through holistic whole food nutrition, and come out of there implementing these things at a higher level. And,
Mhm.
like you've always said, you got to get in the room, right? And I think the American Chiropractor magazine's the room for a lot of people. You read through it, you're in the room, you're with the experts, you're learning in that. And then you can also physically get in the room at like the OHS Super Seminar and be
Mhm.
around those people to get inspired. And I think it's a
Yeah.
good way to kind of end, is, as health professionals, we give all day, and our patients, take away some of that energy, because you're giving, they're hurting, and we're giving. And at some point you've got to go re-energize, those batteries. And so to come
Mhm.
in a room full of other health professionals and with the world's leading experts, man, it's energizing. I come out of that weekend and I'm like, okay, let's go. Like there's another level, there's another gear, and let's hit it. So we look forward to seeing you guys, hopefully, and other health professionals at the super seminar. And if you can't make it, hey, still call OHS, we'll get you set up.
What's the phone number they call?
1-800-890-4547. And all
Okay.
they have to do is call and say, I'm a health professional and I want to get involved, and they'll just hold your hand and take you right through the process.
Great. Well, we definitely invite all of our listeners who are there to pick up the phone if you can make it to the event. But definitely, Doug, thank you so much. And of course, keep your eyes out for the American Chiropractor Magazine. I think we have a speaker spotlight of a doctor who will be speaking at your upcoming Vegas event. So I don't know
Yeah,
if
Dr. Ridgway, it's a doctor that was actually only been able to practice part time because she wasn't making enough money, and she was a great health professional. And we came in and helped her with the mindset, helped her commit at a higher level, helped her, serve her patients with the systems, and then scale her clinic. And now, she not only brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars income, but the patients are getting better faster, and they're coming from all over the nation. And she has this residual income of, I want to speak, I know it's in the six figures, so that she can come speak for us, go to, family events, go help us with legislation. And all she
Mhm.
did was implement these systems. So it's great to
Right.
be able to hear from one like Dr. Ridgway, read her
Mhm.
articles that comes out in your magazine, because it's someone that's been there, done that.
Right. And I think that she said that was kind of it. She was attending an event that you guys put on, and that was what really lit that spark. So we do encourage our readers, if you can get to an event, it definitely, jumps off the page. We get as much as we can through the magazine, but at the end of the day, you do have to get your boots on the ground and move forward, put into
Absolutely.
practice.
Get
Put
in the
into
room.
practice. All right. Sounds good. Well, thank
Thank
you
you,
so much,
guys.
Doug.
Very good. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
And so look for this interview. We're going to do this interview in our August issue. We're going to condense it a little bit. So if there's information in it that you wanted to tease out, please go to look for it in your mailboxes coming in August. Doug, formulator and founder of Optimal Health Systems. Don't miss the OHS Super Seminar in the Rio in Vegas at the end of September. Thank you, Doug. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.